Welcome. You are listening to the Be a Better Being podcast, hosted by Michelle Zellner and Sasha Berscheid. Michelle and Sasha are here to give you information and inspiration to help you live your healthiest, happiest lives. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the show.
Greetings. Thank you for tuning in to the Be a Better Being podcast. I'm Michelle Zellner, your host. I have two very beautiful faces on the screen with me today, one of them being my fantastic co-host, Sasha. How are you, my darling?
I have a good one for you.
Oh,
It's something Justin Timberlake would say. It's gonna be May.
There we go.
I love it. I love it. Well, it's great to have you here for this conversation because you and I are very passionate about exercise and fitness, and yet we really haven't done a deep dive on an episode in it. So as this is May, which is Physical Fitness Awareness Month, I thought this was a really good opportunity to bring on a guest who I've had the pleasure of being on his podcast, the Over 40 Fitness Hack podcast. Brad Williams, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is going to be great.
It is going to be great because you and I had a really fun conversation. I think we determined it was 2 years ago already, which is bonkers to think that. But go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we are going to have a good conversation about fitness, why it's important, how to make it happen in your life, how to embrace it as a lifestyle.
Absolutely. Well, I'll do my typical origin story and try to keep it short so we have plenty of time to talk about other stuff. But, I grew up in Central California, kind of had a healthy upbringing. My dad was a medical doctor, mom was a nurse, so kind of had that structure right from the get-go. Was always into sports, and later on after junior high into fitness and weight training, kind of discovered that world. But I always wanted to be an entrepreneur like my uncle and open up my own business. So after graduating college and a few years of various jobs, I got my personal training certifications. I really like doing that on the side. And then my brother and I decided, hey, you want to do your own business, you really love this, you're passionate about it, let's go for it. So opened up my own studio in Huntington Beach, California, Orange County. Just through the last, I think it's been 14 years. Just the struggles of the brick and mortar ownership, especially doing business here in California. That's also fun. And, had plenty of successes, plenty of failures. And, I always tell people you can't learn this in school in marketing. Like, you have to live it and experience it to see how it really goes. So, and throughout the last 13 years, got some investors that believed in me and opened up 3 different gyms. And then over time, kind of consolidated down. And then COVID also didn't help. And so now I'm kind of left with, I've been in the business, like I said, 14 years, I think 15 as a personal trainer. I still have 1 brick and mortar gym. And a lot of us personal trainers started dabbling in online personal training. And thank God, because after COVID, that's kind of what we had for a good 6 months. And then I kind of started pulling away more from the gym life and going more online. I really loved it. And then I think I started my podcast similar time frame as you, and saw the scalability and reachability to, just help more people. And, my passion is kind of more helping the over 40 crowd. One, because, that's what I've just had as clients over the years. It just happened that way. So that's kind of like my bread and butter. And then lo and behold, I'm 42 now. So when I started my podcast, I turned 40. And the whole theme of it was, I'm a personal trainer, beating up my clients and having them work harder, be better nutrition. And now I'm 40 and I'm having problems keeping this weight off in the aging process and joints. I've had a couple of injuries and, this is terrible. So they were all right. I feel so bad. So that's kind of the theme of my show of, I refuse to quit because I got that personal trainer mind. And, these are the tips and tricks that I've had to add to my routine, because it's just, you got to work smart, not hard.
I love that story because it reminds me of starting out 25 years old as a personal trainer. I was an independent contractor, so I just paid the gym to be there. And then I get, I deal with my clients, and people would always say, well, don't you want to own your own gym? I'm like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
No,
I would not advise it.
I mean, I am grateful for all the gym owners out there because you do give us the opportunity as trainers to go be there. But no, to your point, it's very difficult. And, we're passionate about fitness. I'm a wellness person who has a business. I'm not a business person who does wellness. And that's the thing, is when you are doing your passion, you do it all. And it is a little tricky. So, for all the good and bad that COVID obviously did, I think it has opened up so many more opportunities for people like us to get our message out there and reach a bigger audience. I also was that girl who trained everybody like a 25-year-old. What do you mean you're sore for 5 days? I don't understand this. What do you mean you're too tired? You just want to stretch? Oh, I love those stretching days. Let me tell you. So
Yeah.
I think there is no greater teacher than personal experience, because it really does let you relate. And that's not to say that somebody who's 25 or 30 or 40 can't train someone who's older than them. Obviously they can, but getting all of that perspective and then actually experiencing it yourself just kind of gives you a whole different set of skills and tools that you can then go ahead and help people with.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I think it's being the brick and mortar gym owner, like a lot of my worries were, you know, marketing and keeping the place clean and doing the accounting. Like I did it all. You know, I had to move my own equipment as well. And, you know, thus, you know, we could talk about this later, but, you know, ended up having my first back injury because of that, just a freak accident. And what a humbling experience that was. But now that all this kind of is wrapping up and I'm more like into this world, like more like a personal trainer again, you know, I was a personal trainer, but more of the business owner. Now it's like reigniting that passion. You know, what do I really want to focus on and help people, and, you know, not have to worry about, you know, what stupid laws in California change, and, you know, what utility bills are going haywire because it's summertime, and just the joys of ownership.
I will definitely say when I got back into the functional fitness world and dove back into like a gym membership, it wasn't like the traditional, it was CrossFit, whatever, I'll say it. It was a CrossFit membership. And I was talking to the coaches there, or the owner of the place, because it had been a while, and I was mesmerized with the newness of, this was, I don't know, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it was. And he just looked at me and he's like, well, I don't do this to make money. I'm not in, you know, I don't own a gym to make money. It's not to be a big, wealthy, rich person. It's literally to help provide a space where other persons can flourish and become the best versions of themselves and physically healthy, you know. So I think it's very admirable. I love that you still have a brick and mortar. It's in California, and that is just a tough market. It's a tough market.
Yeah. You know, our spot that we have right now is more of like in the industrial area. So it's, you know, kind of a lot of us actually love it the most, even though it's a little grungy, warehousey, but a lot of trainers love that. And, you know, it just shows to the clients, you know, if the trainers are happy, they're happy. It's like such a cool vibe there. And it's only one spot, not 3 spots. Like my stress levels from dwindling down to one spot are so much better. And that's kind of the thing, you know, 5 years ago when I had this back accident, you know, going through that experience and also having my gyms kind of come down to one, just focusing on myself, my health, my mental health, my poor lower back health, everything. And, you know, just taking things so much slower, and also like getting back to like my passions and, you know, family and that kind of stuff. I'm just like, oh, but it is still awesome having the one spot left, because I still got a taste of, you know, what it was like to be the owner too. So I'm kind of in a great place right now, you know, doing multiple different things and also helping my wife with her business. So, you know, it just keeps the mind going, and, you know, everything just now is just more of looking long term. You know, I'm not trying to bulk up and, you know, do all these crazy fitness routines anymore. I'm just doing very quality stuff, what works for me. And I kind of implement that with my clients as well.
Well, as somebody who is no longer in her 40s, I'm going to tell you, Brad, 40s are fabulous.
I thought it was going to get better.
They do. They get, the 40s were fabulous. You can go back to and listen to what I said about the 50s. I think they're going to be fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is where you get to that place where you start to recognize what's important. Right. And then, I mean, you were the classic example of, let me put my oxygen mask on first. Let me do my self-care. Let me pare down so I can actually show up and be more present to help the people I want to help. Because I'm willing to bet that when your mind is busy and stressed out about these other brick and mortar places, and now you're physically not feeling great, perhaps you weren't showing up as the best version of Brad, the trainer, that your clients deserved. Right. And I think that's something that, you know, even me in my own growth as a trainer, when I was walking the walk, but talking kind of a different talk, right? Not really doing my nutrition the way I kind of preached other people to do, and had to dig in and be vulnerable with my own challenges and go through that growth. And you come and be a better person, and you're better able to share and help those other people. So let's pivot to where you are now and specifically what you're doing. And I'm curious about this too. So because I started out as a trainer, literally almost everybody that ever meets me thinks I'm the fitness girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't been a like I have a couple of clients because they're super convenient. I haven't been a trainer for at least 7 or 8 years, but I'm the fitness girl. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm curious if you still find that too, as well. Like that's what you are branded, and that is how you always be known.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I've been doing that for the last 14 years. That's how people see me locally. Luckily, you know, the online world, you know, everyone only knows the bits and pieces of you and what you are now anyways. But, you know, for a while after COVID, we were doing like still online training programs and writing splits for everyone. And it was just so hard. And you know what? It's even doing the online stuff for people outside of my area, you know, across the US, I'm just not doing them justice. You know, trying to watch them through Zoom and not being there. It's so hard. I'd rather them go to like a local spot or a physical therapist, you know, someone to assess them. And, you know, I'm more of going down the route of just being that, you know, fitness consultant, you know, that they can choose how many times they want to, you know, talk to me. You know, even in my own world of podcasting, I have a podcasting coach, and I kind of use him when I need to. And it's just so awesome. I don't need him running my podcast, or nor do I want to pay for it, but just to have a check-in and accountability. And so that was kind of the big thing of personal training, of, you know, eventually people pretty much know how to train themselves. You know, you've taught them. If you did a good job, they're only there for the accountability. So that's the part that I still want to keep and share. You know, I've got 15 years of experience, you know, being in this industry, you know, to have someone like that while they go to their local gym or even doing home workouts.
So this is a question that I'll ask some of I wouldn't say every single one of them, but as far as like your mandatory, the one thing that you have to have every day. So like for Michelle, her nutrition has to be on point, right? For me, it's my sleep. For some people, it might be their water. It might be their movement or activity. One of our guests, it was movement or activity. Some person, it might be meditation or an attitude of gratitude or prayer. What is the one thing that you is like an absolute, like a non-negotiable in Brad's life? For me, sleep. For Michelle, nutrition. For Brad?
Yeah. So for me, it is stress. And I'll kind of throw sleep in there, because if you don't sleep right, you're just going to be, you know, stressed out. Anxiety levels are going to be up. But then even physically, you know, how's my lower back feeling today? You know, I always say, like, I've gotten my lower back from my injury back up to 97%, but that's that 3% right there I'm always struggling with. But every day is different. And so, you know, how do I feel this morning waking up? Oh, it's bugging me a little bit. Okay, so we are only going to focus on that. You know, don't worry about your, you know, session you're going to try to do later in the afternoon. You need to take care of that, because that's going to piss me off. And then that bad attitude is going to carry out throughout the day. That cannot happen. And thus throw my whole nutrition game out the window too. So physical stress, mental stress, which I throw in sleep. And then, you know, just what's other stressors do you have that are causing you problems in life? Like, you need to start working on those. Like, you know, I've had clients that had horrible relationships with their, you know, spouse or partner. And then also at the work, you know, one client I always like talking about, she was in her early 30s, and just seeing how much stress affected her. And I didn't really know that too much was going on at work, but over time, she just still keep preaching about how terrible, you know, her coworkers were, her boss was. She just wants to go out on her own, but she was waiting for her husband to kind of get a little bit more stable. And that moment came, and, you know, we had gotten her down to a certain level, but it's like no more pushing on nutrition or working out was doing any more to get her down to that next level. I mean, she looked great the way she was, but she wanted, you know, to go a little more. Finally, that day came where she could quit her job, opened up her own practice independent. Her husband's job was stable enough for her to do that. And within, I think, 7 days, she lost 6.5 pounds. I'm like, you're kidding me. And that's the day I knew how important, stress and your cortisol levels, matter. Not only that, but after 40, it's even worse. And for women, sadly, it's even worse, for the gender side, dealing with that stress and your cortisol, that is number one for me.
I love that. We had Vinny Nuzzo on a few months ago, and he's Mr. Stress Undone. And he talks about structural stress, nutritional stress, and emotional stress. And right, they're all part of that human experience. And to your point, Brad, everything impacts everything. So as Sasha and I have talked about, having those non-negotiable foundational elements, and it's not the same thing for everybody, but when you pick one, it will ripple into the other ones. And that's what I love about just thinking about it in that way, because, for somebody that attitude of gratitude and meditation, that is their medicine. For somebody else, that movement is their medicine. For somebody else, making sure I put really good quality fuel in my body, well, that is what's going to help me have a better day. And yet when I do that, then I do feel better, and I work out better, and I sleep better, and I'm nicer, and I have gratitude. And, so it is that domino effect. So as you have grown as a human and as a trainer and as a coach, starting to really connect those dots and do that education with your clients, is that how you kind of transitioned more into this coaching role versus like, okay, I'm a trainer, I'm a physical fitness guy?
Yeah. So that whole, stress is just one, but putting more importance on the, mind body experience, obviously stress and how happy you are, that's huge, and how well your hormone levels play and how your body's working. But as far as like doing workouts, like being more mindful of those workouts, like I like preaching now time under tension. It's been called a million different things over the course of the years, doing negatives or slow-mo training, whatever, or, Pilates has been doing it forever, but it's basically just being more mindful with your body, feeling the contractions, slowing it down. You recruit more muscle fibers for less time, less weight. It's better for your joints. It's better for your mind that you can now connect with, my glutes, my core. I can feel my calves, like every muscle fiber. And, now I think I'm only doing like 20, 25-minute workouts when I used to be an hour and a half, workout junkie. And lo and behold, I'm 42. I'm able to retain the same body I had, my late 20s and 30s with less effort. I'm stress-free with all the things that's, being my focus. I feel great even after this back surgery that I had 5 years ago. I've got everything in line. So that's kind of the things I look at. So I like having my clients like journal stuff down, even if it's just one time, but as you find new things, put that down, because I'll forget something I did 2 hours ago. So, journaling stuff down, you can always go back and look and be like, oh, you know what? I do feel way better than I did a few months ago on this particular subject, whether it's nutrition or some workout or something that was stressing them out. So that's usually where I start.
Okay, so I have a question for you. I have my answer. I'm sure Michelle has one. What if it was gone back to the caveman era and you could only bring one piece of workout equipment with you, what would it be?
I would just say a pair of dumbbells and very low weight. So, I mean, if I had to pick one right now for my body size, I would just say, 15 pounds. I can do so much damage with 15 pounds doing time under tension, and then just body weight for some of the other stuff. Then you just, obviously I still got my knowledge, right? Picking better things to forage for and, working the system like that. What was yours?
My personal one would be a kettlebell. I love me kettlebell. Like, I think it is so beautiful how it's so dynamic, and you can feel the movement and the tension, and you can work with, just every part of your body with so many different types of movements. So what about you, Michelle? Do you have one?
I would bring nothing, because I have a body, and I would find rocks, and I would find heavy sticks, and I would do a whole bunch of different things with the things that I have around me in my cave. So I would bring nothing.
She's like, I am the machine.
So me and Sasha would probably just have more clients back in those times than you, but that's okay. That's okay.
You're right. Because clients like things.
Yep.
Right? They have to feel like they are lifting something, doing something, right? And harder and more and bigger, because that's what we're just pounded into our brains, right? And so how do you change that mindset? And I would say, especially with men. So when I was a trainer and I had male clients who, when I was in my 20s and 30s, they were in their 40s and 50s. And boy, did they get irritated with me when I handed them what one of my clients' dentists like to call the pink weights.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Lightweight. What do you think? I'm a wimp? What do you think? I'm not strong enough to lift heavier? No, that's just what I want you to do.
Yeah. No, I think, definitely like males are harder to train with that kind of aspect, and, trying to do more Pilates type movements or using like TheraBands and that kind of stuff. Like they don't even want to do it. I'm like, oh, but so, I blend in other circuits of heavier weights with lighter weights and kind of see if they'll let me do that. And as long as, maybe the guy's got some 20-pound dumbbells while he's doing some thrusters, getting that band on there and having them sit down and do some lateral movements. I just basically just work ways to trick them to get what I want out of it. But yeah, definitely it's tough doing that. And then as far as like home workouts, they want to buy a huge gym, which is just, you're going to ruin a room. You don't need all this stuff. If you really want that, go buy one session at your local gym to do that kind of stuff. But for home workouts, we need just some bands and some low weights and maybe a kettlebell. We can do so much with that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I say this in every class that I teach for corporate when it comes to motivation or exercise or whatever. When COVID hit and all these people were like, well, I couldn't work out anymore because my gym closed. I'm like, that is so weird, because my gym closed too. And I still worked out. Right. And that's the thing, is we get in this idea of what a workout is supposed to look like, or, well, this is what I want to do or what I like to do. And since I can't do that, well, I can't do anything. Do you find like that all or nothing, or this like very in the box thinking is something that you try to coach people out of?
I think a lot of that stuff is kind of more the younger generation, at least from what I've seen. My crowd is typically over 50 actually, and they don't really care about those kind of things. More of them is getting the motivation to have them consistently come in, and the accountability. So my job is more of an accountability coach. Like, a lot of them don't say it, but they'll end up telling me later, they want me to hunt them down. And so I would start providing those services, and that's what they wanted. They just needed someone that cares, and I did, but obviously I had to extend that a little farther. And where are you at? Where were you yesterday? And kind of give them that, and I have no problem doing that. But yeah, accountability is huge. Our job in the gym, like I said, if you're a good trainer, your client knows almost everything you know. It's that accountability and motivation. Like, make it fun. Find out what their passions are. If I'm training Sasha, I need to incorporate kettlebells because this is what she's into. And Michelle likes, body weight and bands. So I'm going to incorporate that with other stuff. But I think that's so important. Like, you got to keep them, ingrained in what you're doing, and let them be part of the process as well.
If I were in your gym, or if I were to have you as my coach, what is one tagline that I would know that coach says this is coach's tagline. He repeats it, like Michelle is, and I love this because it helps me. Like, I can check myself really quickly. Is it hard now or hard later? Sasha, pick it. Do you want to do it now? Do you want to do hard now, or do you want to do hard later, girlfriend? Like, you pick. And I'm like, oh, Michelle. So what is Brad's ism?
Besides the one everyone hears me screaming across the room is, come on. It is more of a joke than anything is. I just say it to all my clients and everyone starts laughing. Another one is like, form. And I'll yell that from across the room. Okay, I'm doing a squat. I got to do all the steps that Brad taught me. And, I start seeing them getting sloppy because they're usually like talking to someone else in the gym. So I kind of, yell those two out a lot.
I love those. Those are going to go in my brain now. One that actually does always still go in my brain is, you can always do one more. My gymnastics coaches would say that all the time. You can always do one more. And to a point, you're right. And then there's that point where you can't. And that's when you're done. Yeah, I love that. So over 40 fitness hacks. Let's talk about that. What are some of those hacks? Because everybody's looking for the quick, right? Just give me this one magical workout or one magical exercise that's going to give me those toned arms or that nice six pack or, make me feel amazing. Just, there's got to be that one magical thing. Tell it to us, Brad.
Yeah. Well, sadly, there is no one magical thing that just made every other trainer in the world happy. But, I kind of coined it hacks just because hacks is like trendier and it sounded cooler, but it's more like fitness tips. Even though I like diving into like biohacking and that kind of stuff, working on building healthy habits is more important. But just, I don't know, everyone's got their different views on nutrition and that kind of stuff. And one that's worked for me that I like having people try, you always have to say if your medical care professional allows it, is, just something as simple as, don't change any part of your diet that you're doing right now or your systems. Just try the simple system of intermittent fasting. And it doesn't have to have all these set rules or anything. It's just whatever you're doing, see if you can try to start crunching it into a tighter window. All your supplements, all your meals, all your protein, and then just letting your body at rest fast. We're all fasting, when we're sleeping, but we're trying to refine this process to a tighter window, and it doesn't need to have need to be a 10-hour or 6-hour for girls or, 4-hour for guys or anything. It's just tune into your body. How do you feel doing it? And for me, I felt such tremendous improvement in my energy. Weight loss just came from it. I was excited about that, but I was more feeling, how does my body feel? Having a chance for it to clear itself out, and that the whole concept of autophagy, your body clearing out all your arteries and all the bad things in your body, because, while you're stuffing food in your face all day and all night and on weekends, your body never gets a chance. So I've used that and just gotten so much success from it. And just, I offer it to all my clients to just try it. And some, they feel terrible, so don't do it. So we move on to something else. There's no one thing that works for everybody, but I promise you, if you keep trying, you will find things that work for you. And that's why you journal and write these things down.
Exactly. I love that, because I get those questions all the time too. I personally love intermittent fasting as well. I keep banker's hours. I eat from 9 to 5 and I don't eat from 5 to 9 because that's what works with my lifestyle. And same thing, I feel really good energy. I like not going to bed with a whole bunch of food in my body. Now, sometimes there's wiggle room on that because maybe have a friend in town and we're out a little later, right? We're eating a little later, we're doing whatever. So it's not that, oh my gosh, I must live by this and die by it. But yes, can I give my body that opportunity to just stop having to digest food, right? And that is a big thing. The other thing I do find also is still, and I don't know if you encounter this, but either people don't eat enough or they exercise to earn their food, or they exercise to work off their food. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you encounter as well?
Yeah. Some people that have an elaborate social life, let's say, like, on weekends and that kind of stuff, and they'll use that excuse to, okay, I need to step up the program to offset these things. And, I just tell them, don't even worry about that, because all that's going to do is cause more stress. And we want stress-free. Have your fun. And then we get back to the program, hopefully Monday through Friday is what I typically ask for, or, at least 5 clean days to work off something like that. But, people come in town or there's special events and there's plenty of time. That's also what I preach a lot of times. There is plenty of time. You don't even know how many times I've rebuilt this body, either by, laziness, or I went on long trips when I was younger, or, like what happened to me with back surgeries. I've had 2 of them. I've built this body back up. It always does. There's plenty of time. Just don't overdo it. Be mindful of what you're doing, and, work smarter, not harder. That's the whole point of educating yourself. And hopefully people are listening to podcasts like ours, or going to other professionals, and you just start picking up stuff over time that works for you and becomes so synergistic that, then you can cheat a little bit more.
Yeah, it really is. For me, it's about separating food and exercise, right? When, I have to work off my food. No, you have to exercise. You have to move your body because you're a human, and that's what you're supposed to do, regardless of what we're doing with food. And this is something I encounter, either people who didn't grow up with sports, or they didn't have a weight problem. So I don't need to exercise because that's just for people who want to lose weight. No, you're a human. Every human needs to move in a lot of different ways. So if there's anybody out there who still has that mentality of, I don't need to exercise because I don't have to lose weight, or, there's a magic workout that's going to make me look like somebody, there are so many ingredients that go into what an outcome is. And movement is one piece of it. And then there's all these different components of fitness, right? There's cardiovascular fitness, strength and endurance, flexibility, your range of motion, there's core and stabilization and balance. And all of these are critical. Do you teach people how to incorporate all of those elements into a well-rounded protocol?
Yeah. So, that's totally true. Besides someone and by the way, the aging process doesn't help any of this. That's why, maybe you got away with it in your 20s and 30s, and time always gets everybody. So you eventually, whenever that, come to Jesus moment happens, you'll start, educating yourself and coming on stuff to find out about this. But, you need to worry about movement, exactly like you said. You need to worry about your mental health. You need to worry about your nutrition, and all that's not just so you can have this aesthetically pleasing body either. Like, you need to care about internally how things are going as well. That's also part of health. And one of the coolest things I started doing was, really looking at my blood work, and, I'm a little higher in cholesterol, and, I blame it on genetics, but there's so much stuff you can do to offset that. And, why I started doing the intermittent fasting too was because of that. Being able to lose a little bit more weight than normal was just a byproduct and was also cool. But since I started doing the fasting and a little bit longer fasting, I started dabbling in that as well. I had my doctor's okay on that one. Within a 4-month period, I dropped my cholesterol by 20%. It's like back when I was in my 20s, maybe even better. And so my liver enzymes were just immaculate. And I'm not talking that it was bad before. I'm just talking about, like, this is like the epitome of health. But some athletes look great on the outside, but their blood work is poor. Their organs are being damaged. So that's also what I tell clients to, like, you need to go that approach too, because optimizing your body should be your number one goal, not just getting a 6-pack. So that's your blood, your hydration, your mental health, like the movement, not just throwing weights around, but just move to feel good. It may just be long walks do it for you. So that's kind of the overall philosophy that I kind of go on now.
I always take into account where my mental health is when it comes to movement. I mean, I can be having just the crappiest, most terrible day in the world. And, I have the privilege of having a little miniature coach, Michelle, with me at all times, right? And so I also have her on my phone. So it's great because I have her in my head and I have her in my phone. The one thing that when I am just having a dog of a day, I'm just like, you know what? Movement is medicine. Just go. And for the longest time, I'm going to be completely open and honest about this. For the longest time, aka up until last year, when my life just took a spin for whatever we want to call last year, I thought, and again, this is just how I have conditioned myself, that if I wasn't sweating and if I wasn't going 110 miles an hour and wasn't, if it was anything less than 4 miles, if it was anything less than a 20-minute complete drench session going so crazy, that it wasn't a workout and it didn't count. And then last year happened, and boy, did I learn otherwise. I learned that you can go for a 1-mile run and that counts as your exercise. I learned that you can go for a 1-mile walk and that counts as your exercise, And so if it has nothing to do with your physical appearance and it has absolutely nothing to do with your physical health, I mean, take into account the beautiful things that will cause a catalyst just for moving for your mental health. All of the things that you'll be able to just, yes, I'm going to end it there. But yes, movement is medicine. And if you're having a crappy day, go out for a walk and see how you feel after you get that fresh air. After you get that, if there's no sun out, quasi sun, whatever, see how it feels. Movement is medicine.
Yeah. And I think that just goes to, speak on, like, going hardcore, like everything you were just saying, like, yeah, your body isn't breaking down. You're doing that process, but the physical stress is raising cortisol levels. Your stress on, I have to do this, is more mental stress, and calming it down, everything you just said, and seeing how much more your body will adapt to that and give back to you versus what you were doing before. One of my favorite things to do is, I like circuit training, but not as much as I used to, like real heavy lifting, that kind of stuff. my favorite thing to do now, and I never thought I'd be one of those people, is just go out for a walk. I'm like, I'm not an old man yet, but just, I was a cave dweller running inside all my gyms, like never saw the sunlight. And now like getting sun on me, and also I didn't want the pounding of running on my spine with my back injury. Walking feels just great. And then I started doing more like skater type walking, like trying to activate the glutes. And then I bought a 6-pound weight vest, and that was a game changer. Now I can't even go 6 miles. I'm only going like 2 or 3, and I'm just getting a great workout, but I feel good. I got my glasses on, my tunes on, and I never used to do that kind of stuff. It was more like I'd be doing a triathlon or a mud run, or trying to beat someone on the treadmill, that kind of stuff, and just, putting more stress on the body. And it's just so crazy when everything's in tune and is working well, how much easier it is to, just stick with weight loss, not to mention all the other benefits, but how much easier it is to keep this off with way less work than the 7 days a week I was doing before.
Yeah, I think we're so conditioned to think that more is better, right? And we have to retrain our brains that more is not better. And sometimes somebody can appear to be healthy because they're doing all these really healthy things, but they are tearing their bodies down, and their future self is not going to appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So I encourage people to find the balance of nurturing your current self with recognizing what your future self is going to be living because of what you may or may not be doing. What about those people? Because I've encountered them that just hate exercise. Like this, I hate exercise. And what they mean is they literally do not like to move their bodies. We're not talking like I hate running or I hate CrossFit. They don't like to actually move their body. What do we do to help them?
Yeah, I'll pick on my mom on this one. Hopefully she doesn't listen to this episode, but she hates, and my sister too. I don't care. Send it to them. They hate to sweat. They don't like the feeling of working out, and they barely like going on walks. So, there's always something. And finally I found the little Pilates board with like the thinnest little bands, and it goes under my mom's bed, and, gave her like 3 little exercises to do every day. That's it. Took her like less than 5 minutes, and then she started liking it. So we started giving her a little bit more, and now she's got this maybe 15, 20-minute routine. Then she bought this gazelle. I don't know if you remember that. Tony Little with his gazelle, and he's got it, and it has a video with it. And if she can't watch the video, she won't do it. What does it matter? It's the same motions. Just do it yourself. No, she needs Tony. Okay, so don't fight that. And all of a sudden now, someone used to cry all the time about working out and sweating, she's moving. And it's just finding that one thing, and it may not be lifting weights. It could be Pilates. It could be running, swimming. Just name it. There's got to be something. Walking. You tell me you won't walk to the mailbox. You can't even do that. So, but it has to come from love too. You can't sit there and attack somebody. But I promise you, there's going to be something. Here's a cool one. Here's one of my favorite things to do for cardio, and I hate cardio. I'll do the walk and all that kind of stuff. But if you really want to get me pumping, and this is funny, and I'm going to get it in my new house. I told you, Michelle, I'm moving down to San Diego, and I'm going to have this big garage. So I'm going to get a treadmill, put up my TV, and play Xbox. I'm still a 42-year-old that plays video games. Sorry, everybody. But I'm telling you, I can literally go hours if I've got something like that engaging me. And I feel so good afterwards. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even walk that long on a normal day. Look what I just did. So it's, you got to find something like that to keep that motivation and passion.
I love that. I think that is a really great way to wrap up our conversation. I know that people have heard some things that they're like, okay, that makes sense to me. Or, oh, I should try that. We will have all the information on how to contact you, Brad, because I think you would be such an amazing accountability coach for so many people I know. But just give it the shout out of how they can reach you.
Yeah, so Over 40 Fitness Hacks, the podcast, and it's 40, not spelled out. Just find it on your podcast player. It'll probably be in the show notes. You can just click on it. Or my website, over40fitnesshacks.com. Also 40, not spelled out. And, contact form, blogs, see what I'm doing. And it's just the easiest way to get a hold of me.
I love it. Sasha, anything before we officially sign off?
I know I say this all the time, but you guys, you can only be you. Be yourself. Figure out what works for you, what works for Michelle. Some of it might work for me, but not all of it. So if you see someone, you get discouraged, don't give up on yourself. Only you were created to be you. So be you.
Exactly. And write it down so you don't forget it. I still like putting that journal out there.
Perfect.
Same, just a journal, right? A journal.
Yes, a journal for these foundational habits. Yes. And on that note, we're going to officially say goodbye. Brad, thank you so much. This was as delightful as I knew it would be. I appreciate you being here. Everybody, now you get to go and be a better being.
Thank you for listening to the Be a Better Being podcast. Michelle and Sasha hope that what you heard today inspires you to embrace this journey of life with an open mind, a kind heart, and a willingness to learn and evolve. If you enjoyed the content, please help spread their message by subscribing, sharing, and leaving a 5-star review. If you have a show topic idea or would like to be a guest, please visit betterbeings.net and fill out a contact form. Until next time, go and be a better being.